So we were talking about maybe, we were talking on the phone or something, maybe it was through email correspondence that, about
Via the phone, I think.
maybe doing some kind of, training.
Yep.
Okay.
I think what number one we need to do is find where people already have some knowledge and
Right.
skills.
Mhm.
And then I was thinking basically would be the three major groups. And this is all up to negotiation, obviously, if you think. That's where I found were probably the most important groups was food and water, shelter, and protection. As far as a group setting, just to start, I mean, we could probably think of 10 categories, but I mean, to simplify it, since there's 4 people in the room, maybe at some point 9, you know what I mean?
Right,
Having
yeah.
3 really basic groups, and then there'll, of course, probably be a lot of subcategories in all those, and maybe
Right.
even medical would be a category as well. And then
Well, I
trying
think
to
protection, medical would probably go under protection.
Right.
As well, so.
And then figuring out who already has skills in which categories, and then further training within those categories for those people, you know what I'm saying? And then, because we can get more days here, or we can just split our 2 hours into 45-minute or 30-minute increments, where the first 30 minutes is going to be allocated toward Group A, next 30 minutes Group B. You know what I'm saying? Where we're all going over specific topics maybe. And then I found that there are a couple of different meetup sites online where they actually do local Chicago meetups where they teach about primitive stuff, like fire making and different things of that nature. I think it'll be important for us to get involved in those
Do
kinds of
either of
things.
you wander the woods around here, off the trail?
I have, yeah.
Like the state parks and...
I used to do a lot of that. I just stopped doing it after I went to college. I don't know why.
I know
Got
probably,
overwhelmed, I guess.
I know probably where every forest preserve is in a probably 60-mile radius. I know probably almost every road from
I mean,
Indiana
just
border to
like-
55, from 80 down to Champaign.
Yeah, I
so.
just mean the woods in general, because usually, and I know this place is different from where I'm from, but seeing as how there's a lot of Civil War stuff where I'm from.
Where are you from? Atlanta?
Yeah, Georgia.
Georgia.
But yeah, there's always some kind of tunnel or hole that somebody made at some point.
Mhm.
And it's good to know where those little places are.
Okay, I can tell you a few of those
There's
places right
little
now.
brick stoves and different things
Oh,
that people
okay.
have built in the past that are still sitting there.
Well, there are some caves that the Indians used to hang out in Rock Creek. You have to
Mhm.
just go look for them.
There are some pretty
And you
awesome
could
caves
start
up there.
fires right there in the cave, and it'll just waft out.
There's a real big
you know.
one. If you go up the other side of 102, you start on the far side, the mouth of the Rock Creek, right there by
Yeah, I heard it.
Kankakee River. If you go in 3 miles, there's a big ass cave right on the river, dude. It goes back 12 feet. Mouth of it's probably 6 or 7 foot diameter.
Yeah, I've seen one about half the size of this room, I'd say, and sloping up. So, I mean, you just got to go look for it there. Rock Creek is the place to go for that, or even Perry Farm. There's some.
But even using those types of skills to being able to, in other locations, be able to kind of rationalize where you might be able to find a cave setting like that, because
Right.
shelter is important.
So yeah, that's another thing is you got to think about terrain. You know, if there was some immediate bug out thing, okay, everybody meet at my house, right? There's not going to be any caves.
Not in stuff.
No, but
Lots of cornfields.
it's just flat. So you got to use basically the woods to your advantage, dead wood, things like that. The creeks, getting down in the creeks. But that's the thing is you have to be able to be prepared for any circumstance. Who knows what to happen.
Well, one thing I found that is a invaluable tool, dude, is having a GPS unit of some kind, and I'm not talking on your cell phone. You can go to Best Buy or a place for $100, and you can invest in a little GPS unit, dude, and that'll show you where you're at. It gives you a global map based on the satellites and everything. And as long as you've got clear sight over your head, and you get enough satellites, it can give you a real accurate location as exactly where you are. So say we're in a situation where, again, you need to bug out somewhere to the woods first. What's closest to you where you can get out of sight and away and out of harm's way? You know what I'm saying? And then how do I get from this point then to initial bug out location number 1, say Stell? You know what I'm saying? How do I get there from where I'm at? 'Cause I've never been here before. Well, I have my GPS unit, and I've already keyed Stell into this thing, so now I know exactly where I'm going. You know what I'm saying?
Follow your compass, huh?
Right, basically that's what it is. I have one myself and it stays on my backpack. It never leaves my backpacking.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think that's important for anybody that's serious about survival is having a thorough backpacking kit. Like that's like basic. You need to invest in that if you have any extra money, or go on Craigslist and start to piecemeal one together, because anything can happen. And having that, at least, if you don't have anything else, it should have all the basics in it. It'll have your fire starters, it'll have your emergency matches, and all
Water
that, and water, canteens,
hand warmers just for temporary.
water tablets, filtration devices, maybe a mini fishing pole, sleeping bag, mini tent. All that stuff will fit into your basic backpacking kit, and always have that, I think, on standby. See, that's some of the things I wanted to go through while we were here, is just making sure that people even understand what the mega basics that you should just have.
Right.
You know what I mean? In case you're stuck and can't get a hold of Jerry, or I can't get a hold of William, or I can't get a hold of you, or I can't get to a group, and I'm stuck on my own for the first freaking 3 days of whatever situation
Like
we're
I
in.
said before, Devin, when there's an emergency situation, his muscles pop through. He grows claws.
Comes into Wolverine, the fire maker. Those are important skills, I mean, if you haven't at least gone out and practiced some of that stuff.
Right.
Just fire, even. Fire
Just
is
make a
something
fire.
that's very important on that that list there. Has anybody ever tried to use a fire bow before?
Just a bow drill. I haven't got
Yeah,
the
the bow
hand drill
drill,
down though. I think it'd be more important to know the hand drill though, because
Are you talking about the bow drill?
the hand drill.
Right, just the procedure
that's
between your
tough.
hands and
It's a
how
lot
to do it.
tougher than the bow drill, but it's so much simpler to make, and the bow drill requires a really strong cordage, and any natural fiber that you're going to find out there in the woods, you're only going to get a couple tries on it. So if you don't get it, you're making another cord again.
Right.
Shoestrings work good, but those wear out kind of fast.
Right. Yep.
P cord is like the best thing because it's
What
really
is it?
strong. Parachute cord or P cord. It's because it's really strong. It's synthetic,
Yeah.
but it still grabs the spindle. Some of the other synthetic stuff, it doesn't have enough friction,
And the others will
slip.
stretch too.
Yeah.
And that's. I mean, I had a problem with some of that when I was making mine.
Yeah.
Just like some kind of nylon or something like that.
Yeah,
It was working, but it just stretched it out so
Yeah.
bad, and it just becomes completely ineffective because
Yeah.
friction is a big deal there.
P cord is the best stuff. Maybe it's good just to have that in your backpack because the bow drill is.
How long a
So-
length do you recommend of the P cord? Like just
Well, to
10-foot
make
sections
one
you can-
bowstring, you're probably about this long, about a yard long or so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll
you
get you by,
48
but-
inches, and that you'd be able to make your bow. Your bow would end up being about
Yeah.
yay long or so.
Mhm.
It's a curved piece like that. You got like a little tiny bit of a looseness to it,
Yeah.
and then your drill.
So that you can wrap it and spin it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's.
You gotta have a top too, right? You gotta make a little top to
Yeah.
hold on to the spin.
But I think flint and steel is going to be probably.
I got
Yeah.
that stick or whatever it's called.
It's
a
flint and
name-
steel, right? It's just-
It's flint and steel, but it's like a little rod. It's what are they called?
Okay.
A
Yeah.
ferro rod. Is that what they're called?
I don't know, but
I think it's called a ferro rod. But anyway, it's got
Yeah.
the steel and a ferro rod, and it just
That's better to go with
you can get them at
because
Farm and Fleet, dude, for $3.
if it's been days and you're trying to get a fire started and you haven't been eating well and you're trying to use one of these bows, I mean,
It's only one frustrated human
Yeah.
being.
It
I mean,
takes a lot
you
of
can.
concentration.
It takes concentration and it just takes endurance.
Yeah.
And I was watching one of these survival videos, and a guy says to keep dryer lint. Keep
Yeah.
dryer lint in a Ziploc bag, like in your supplies,
That's what I was
because
gonna say.
something
Not
you
dryer
need something
lint,
to
but-
catch that
A friend
that
of mine-
spark and smoke and fire, and then
Or
you can
just
start
throw some
building
rocks
dry
at something
tinder on
flammable,
top of it.
A friend of mine, she takes her dryer lint and she takes her old candle wax and melts her candle wax down, puts the dryer lint in there, and it's the fire starters for her charcoal. So that's something cool. If you can get some kind of flame and get that going and just toss it right in there, it'll get a fire going. They last like 10-15 minutes of hot burn there.
Nice.
And get some wood going.
So would that actually catch the spark too, or no? That carries.
I think you could probably put some type of fire starter on it, or something like that, or more lint on it, and be able to catch it. But
Yeah.
there's plenty of things you can start a fire with. I know that.
Yeah.
Plenty,
I'm not real familiar with flint and steel, but I'd be curious to learn it. I'm more familiar with friction fires, but
The cool thing about the ferro rod is it doesn't matter if it's wet. It can be soaked, and it'll still
Right.
throw a spark.
Right.
but you need
We
that.
tried that at my
I
house.
wonder if one of those little welder Flint's
It's
doing-
basically the same thing, I think.
You probably get something going with that for sure.
It throws a spark.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of, getting the
Yeah,
right air current.
I've heard though that the tinder that you use to catch the spark is a lot more critical with the flint and steel,
Mhm.
because you just got a little tiny
Yep.
spark.
Yep.
Versus with friction fire, you at least have it's a coal, you know.
Right, you need
Might
something
only be-
super fine.
Yeah.
Something that's gonna be
One
super
of these
dry.
will work.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
Yeah.
that's one thing I'll probably do, but they're not gonna last forever. I probably will,
Oh, yeah.
make
My
sure that I
backpack's
have
got
a
kitchen matches in
stockpile.
it. I mean,
Whoa.
it's got the
Lighters.
stuff that I know will work.
But you
And then
can-
it's got the stuff when I run out of them.
I mean, without the butane,
Right.
if
Oh, just
just
the
sparks,
spark
you know?
yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
sparks, that makes a good
As long as
spark.
you still got the flint in there, I'd imagine.
Uh-huh.
These work for a
I
while.
know it doesn't throw the spark very far though, but it might.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Then they got those.
Well, but
little-
one thing also, Rich, is you can pop the top off of that thing. And it'll throw over, yeah.
And then there's also those little, I don't know if you guys ever heard of those fire pistons.
Keep my lighter?
It's
Is that my lighter?
it's
It looks just like mine.
it's just
You
a
got a brown
cylinder with a piston rod in it, and it's perfectly sealed.
I got it
It's
brown
actually a
'cause I
little
figured
printed
nobody would get
That's
one.
what I was grabbing at.
And you put your tinder inside of the cylinder.
That's the reason I
and
bought it.
you
I've got a lot.
Slam your hand on the rod.
Yeah.
The compression ignites.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like,
It's like a really old.
you've got like a solid, right? A solid
it's just
rod,
like a diesel engine.
and then like a hollow rod, right?
One fitting inside the other.
Yeah, and inside, like somehow you attach on this here, the coal, so it rubs against the outer
You know,
rod.
actually, I
And
don't
you
even
push
think
it down by pressure.
I don't even think you need a coal, do you?
You have to have some kind of little charcoal or something. Something that's already char is good because
Oh,
you got-
char. Okay.
You know,
It
like-
doesn't have to be hot though, right?
No, like
Oh,
charcoal.
Just something that'll catch, right?
Right, not a coal, but charcoal, yeah. But something that'll ignite easily, like a
Mhm.
little small piece of charcoal. That's a really awesome idea. I saw Bear Grylls do it. Was that who it was? Or,
How'd he make it? What did he make it out of? Or- 'cause he always makes these-
couple of little. He found some like boat equipment,
Oh,
and
okay.
he found like a couple of rods up on this boat. I think it was after the hurricane happened, Katrina or something like that. And he was out like running around through. You know, he found an old washed up boat on the shore. Not old, actually, it was probably
Yeah.
had been out before the hurricane happened. But yeah, you just put the pressure down there, and I believe that this end's open here, and I think you want to have a stopper so it stops kind of like right there, and then there you go. You should have a coal at the end of this thing, and then you just start dropping little pieces of fire starter on that, or tinder, or whatever, and go.
My buddy in college here was made out of wood too.
Really?
But it's like a precision instrument. Like this is like zero tolerance right there.
Right.
Where the rod meets the cylinder.
Yep.
So no air can get.
Mhm.
Because you're
Yes.
creating
Gotta be a
friction,
total
pressure,
vacuum.
and it's almost like a vacuum, yeah.
So it's one of those things that it'd be really hard to make in the wilderness, I would think. But you probably could. But it would also be a nice thing to have because it lasts indefinitely as long as you don't break it.
Mhm.
And the fuel that you can find out there, you can get your tinder out in the wilderness. So.
Does anybody know like what that's actually called?
Fire piston, I think.
Fire piston? I'm gonna look that up and see if I can find some designs to make up for that.
It's the same way a diesel engine works. I think they stole it from. And it's an old, like, Polynesian primitive fire making technique or something like that. I think it's like modern, but yeah, my buddy though, he can make those. You remember Joe Galano, Willie? He could make the hand drill fires look so easy. He had a little fire making kit. The spindle was this long, just long enough to fit in his hands. He had a board about that big, and that was it. He'd always carry some tinder with him, and just about a minute or two, and yeah, fire.
Devin, would you say that's kind of like where your expertise lies, is in the primitive survival techniques and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm not like an expert, I would say, but my interest definitely lies in like wilderness survival.
Cool.
Yeah, wilderness survival, surviving out in the woods, making use of what's around.
Your environment?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think it would be awesome if I had the ability to just go out there with nothing.
Yeah, Rich and I talked about that. You know, I want to get to the point where I can just turn my back on everything and just walk away.
Yeah,
Like, I'm done with it.
Yeah. See ya.
Yeah.
See you later.
That'd be fun.
I'd love to be.
Everybody seen Jerry
Call me
Lewis?
Jeremiah
He was
John.
walking that way and he was in his boxers.
Find me a couple weeks
Licking
later.
everyone off. I don't know.
Made a suit out of leaves.
Really? What's her name? Gretchen? I was looking at her today. She was shouting something on the corner. No,
Gretchen?
the doll lady.
Okay.
I was looking at her outfit.
It's completely sewn.
It was.
completely
She made
knitted.
that entire thing, and
Yeah.
it's really thick. It's nice.
I interviewed her at the mall one
Like-
day. I had no idea that. I didn't know she made the dolls. Like, she made those dolls.
Mhm.
She knitted them.
Yep.
This is my first time ever seeing this outfit she had on. Like a dress.
Yeah.
It was completely.
When did you see her with that?
Just today, shouting
She's
something
been wearing
at
that for some
cars.
days then, 'cause she walked by the front of my house in that same dress like 4 days
Whoa,
ago.
you made that? She's supposed to be making me a hat. She told me, she gave me a price, and then she took a piece of yarn and
She
measured my hair.
crochets the hell out of everything, dude. I couldn't believe she
So be
crocheted
surprised
those
you get a hat.
dolls.
Next time I see her, I'm
So
gonna
this
put my hat.
outfit is like
All
knitted. It's
knitted,
not.
yeah.
It's not. Oh
Well, I gave her
wow.
the
She
number.
did
not
all
so.
She
those.
called me, I'll give her
All
$20.
crocheted, yeah. She's got hats, gloves.
That was months ago.
full, like, full-body dolls
Yeah.
with outfits.
Yeah.
Like, she named the two of them after her kids, I guess.
Yeah.
The two of
So
them.
really, that's my survival skill, know people that know stuff.
So around here, what's good cordage around here? That's one thing I have difficulty finding. There's not much yucca around.
Yeah.
You know, there is some, but not much.
Yeah, it's me up there.
Basswood, I don't know how much you see around here. I see. I'm from Joliet. I don't see a lot of basswood around there, but there's a few places, especially in the river valleys, the big river valleys. Basswood makes a real quick cordage. Could be crude, or you can soak it and pound it and stuff. It takes time, but then it makes pretty good cordage because the fibers are pretty long, so that's nice. Dog bane makes a real like soft cordage, but it's strong too. It separates pretty easy from the.
Yeah, I've never seen basswood around here.
I'd have to see the leaves to.
They're big.
Yeah, they're kind of big, shaped like just kind of like an old regular old leaf, right?
Like teardrop kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, like that kind of, maybe a little wider.
They've got little.
Yeah, little,
serrated
yeah,
edges,
little
tiny
like
ones.
that. Yeah.
And how big are the leaves
Big.
usually? Big as my hand?
You can eat them when
Yeah.
they're smaller.
They can be as big as your hand.
Don't they have really red buds before the leaves come out?
I don't know.
Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. But the bark is smooth and gray, which most tree bark is gray.
Right.
But it's really smooth.
Well,
It's- once you
gray sounds like birch bark a little bit, but you know. Yeah. There's not.
and
there's
it's
not
kind of soft. It's a pretty soft wood for being a hardwood tree.
Right.
Like you could, almost lop it like a tree this big. You could almost lop it with a big axe, one swing maybe. I remember we used to cut it with the chainsaws and stuff, and you knew when you hit a basswood because it just zoop, butter right through it. But
Jerry, what would you say your
and nettle
Primary.
is supposed to be a good one.
Well,
skill would be?
shelters.
Shelter building?
That's immediate. Long-term would be probably gardening.
Like primitive shelter building or emergency shelter
Emergency
building or
shelters.
long-term shelter
or
building?
all the above. Yeah.
Have you built any long-term shelters? Or?
I just got done building a straw bale garage,
Oh,
so
okay.
I mean that could be something, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of access to where I'm at to wood and clay and that.
I kind of want to build a not a permanent shelter, but a long-term shelter this spring or something.
Well, that's what I was talking with Rich about, is that maybe we could do a few days long type of course where, you know, we can all do it for free. I got a property to do it. It would cost us basically a camping fee there. Would be like $5 a night, something like that. we can use my house as a place to shower up and all that
Is it like a
stuff.
primitive
But
campsite kind of thing?
But it would be like no water. There would be, we would have to get off-site water for sure. But
Or would
like
that
no
be
water,
part
no
of the
electricity.
survival training was trying to figure out a way to get water.
That might be one thing that we could do too, as long as we're not trying
Trying to make it as realistic
use
as
a
possible.
dowsing rod and
We're not gonna kill ourselves, but make it realistic.
As long as we're not trying to use a dowsing rod and drill for a well or something.
Well, if we were gonna do something like that though, in a realistic situation, we would probably try to set camp somewhere near a water source.
Right, and there is a creek there, and the best time that creek runs is in the spring.
So then
Spring
you just
and
make
early-
sure you have your
early
water
summer.
purification tablets or filters, or know how to
Like
purify
John
water.
said,
This is
Spring
field
and
runoff,
night.
that is the issue.
So
So
lots of
we
chemicals.
gotta watch it, but we can catch rainwater.
Yeah, it's raining.
Yeah, I would expect springtime, it should be
Early
raining
spring.
or something like that. And, even if that isn't the case, if it doesn't happen, if we know how to do it, we're prepared, we're ready for it, we have the knowledge in our heads. So if it doesn't rain, we still have water that we can drink.
There's always pokeweed.
And, there is a pond as well out there, so,
Oh, yeah.
But those filters that you can buy, the cleanable ones, those filter everything, from what I've been told.
Like pesticides and herbicides.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I'm more concerned about like those kind of chemicals.
Right, that's what I'm
Then-
saying. I'm
The
not worried
naturally
about-
occurring,
Yeah.
or
You
bacteria.
can just boil the water for that,
Right,
but when
yeah.
you're talking, the stuff they use on the crops and stuff,
And we're, like I said, we're right in the
Short
middle.
term.
We're right in the middle of anhydrous
Corn
ammonia country.
Nothing you can do about that.
But,
Oh,
yeah,
again,
so-
you eat it without a second thought though, so.
I think if you guys want to do that, we can. So we have a pond.
uh-huh.
It's stocked with bluegill. Not stocked. I think they naturally occur there. They're everywhere though. I caught them. They were that long.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I measured one at 10 inches. That's head to tail, tail included. But these things are gigantic.
Yeah.
But that's a good source there. There's lots of natural wild edibles that are growing up at the spring at that time. Not necessarily grubs, more like tiger lilies.
Well, they even say try to get your body used to eating that stuff even when you're not in a survival situation, so it's not so foreign when you finally have to.
The sunchokes are out there; they can be used.
Unfortunately, when you're really hungry, though,
Doesn't really matter.
most stuff tastes good.
Right.
And yeah, that's
Starvation
Without-
scenario.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
another
eating
thing is we have
toenails.
quite
I
a
don't
rabbit
give a shit.
population out there too. Though
You have a what? Frog?
Quite a rabbit population and
rabbits.
frogs.
Yeah.
Now,
But
how does the rabbit work though? Doesn't that have to be in season because a certain
Yeah.
land produces some super poisonous?
Yeah.
I've
no,
heard
it's a
something-
parasite is what gets
Oh,
in
is
it,
that what it is?
and it's certain season. But you just have to make sure that you cook it
So
properly.
that's all it is,
That's
is just
cooking
cooking the
properly.
parasite.
What
Oh,
you do
really?
is if in the stomach lining you see like what looks kind of like canker sores,
Mhm.
little white kind of open.
But that's only
pustule.
specific parts of the year, right?
Yeah, most of the time it's
Parasite
a
is
specific
active.
part of the year. But and the thing is, you can't sustain your life on rabbit anyway because it has zero fat.
Right.
So and you have to have some kind of fat.
Which is fairly pretty standard for most rodents. anyways,
No,
right?
squirrels are a little better from the torso down.
Man, grubs, dude. What I say?
I don't know. If
Well, you could just find yourself a nice little log and just be picking your little popcorn
Yeah.
grubs out of there.
I mean, I'm talking about. Was I talking about my
Quite a
pea
few
shooter
grubs.
with the cigarette butt and the nail?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make one of these, fashion one up, and I'm gonna catch me some of these.
Even slingshots.
Yeah, slings, those types of things.
Slingshots, all that stuff.
I've got this Backwoodsman magazine. It's awesome.
Mhm.
I made a rabbit stick last year at my primitive skills course, and it was like this big clunky, lunky thing, kind of boomerang shaped a little bit, but it was just like this big round piece. You gotta fling it along parallel to the ground, try to hit that thing. We'd set out a bottle of water out, in the distance, and practice on the thing. I was getting pretty good, but then in this Backwoodsman magazine, I saw that they had cut it down with like a deer bone. They were using something like that, or a rock or something. They
Mhm.
whittled this thing down into basically like a boomerang.
Mhm.
I mean, it wouldn't ever turn around and come back like a regular boomerang does, but it's kind of thin on one end, and then it widens out at the curve, and it's real flat shaped, and you can polish it up, and they say you can throw these things 65 yards, no problem. And that's one thing I'm trying to master is the rabbit stick. That would be really cool if you could just like grab something like that,
Bang.
poink, and hit what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But,
What side do you know how it's got that curve to it? Do you throw it with the curve pointed towards what you're throwing it at, or curve back? Or
see, that's one thing when it comes to, when I was throwing it, I would throw it, yeah, the curve would be going that way, I think, and you throw it like that.
Okay.
With the flat ones, I think it's the same thing, because that's the way the least friction comes, because if you're
okay.
with the
Gotcha.
that way, you'd have a lot more friction.
It's a little, okay, it's more aerodynamic.
Right.
Rich is telling me that the animals around here are just pretty tame or something. But I've never had a problem getting close to an animal.
What, rabbits and stuff like that, squirrels?
You just
You
just take your time, be really quiet. They know,
Oh, yeah, I
they
mean-
know you're there. You know they're there.
Yeah, that's one thing about a lot of the rabbits in Stella, and I know some people, as long as you don't say anything to them,
Probably net them.
they'd be like, go for it, take them, because they're starting to get out of control.
Not just rabbits.
There was no squirrels 5 years ago in
Deer.
that town, and now there's
Really?
squirrels.
I've gotten close as you are to me.
To rabbits?
To deer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they don't care either.
Where were you at those one time,
You know.
Because there's this forest preserve down south that, you go there and the deer will just walk up to your vehicle and like stand around and hang out, don't care that you're there or not.
Yeah. So
Just because they're
I
assimilated.
guess it just depends.
humans.
I've never had a big problem. with
But
those
there's,
animals.
I know, see, I keep my eyes around, my local area too, so I know what's going on. So there's I know where there's the deer hang out and live and all that stuff too. There's a couple real good spots for deer.
And most animals have the same way of communicating as dogs and other, cats. Kind of like
Body language?
yeah, if you act like that around them, they're not going to be intimidated.
Kind of like bashful.
Yeah, they're not going to be afraid of you. Or if you stare at them like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow you into one of your animal stare down contests.
Why is this guy?
They're not going to be afraid of you. You
Or
got-
if you go up to the oxen and you're like,
Yeah, there you go. Who did that? Pretty Crocodile Dundee. Remember? Then it fell over. I need those skills right there. That's where we're going.
Oh man, ground beetle drugs are pretty good.
are they?
I wouldn't say they're good, but I've eaten them.
Don't eat crickets. Yeah, no on the crickets.
What's wrong with crickets?
Every cricket carries a parasite
Oh.
that can be translated or transmitted to you.
Oh,
Via fish? Like if I'm fishing with crickets?
I don't know. I don't think so, because
Probably
it's not
not in
quick
its body
enough.
long enough.
Because that thing's cooked and eaten right before it's
I've eaten a cricket.
Oh yeah, I've seen people eat crickets. My nephew fried a couple up in oil
Yeah.
on a dare.
Yeah.
He's like, it tastes like corn nuts.
I was living in somebody's basement, right? And there were these huge crickets everywhere. Like, you know what? I'm done. If you're on the stove, that's it for you. When I roasted it up and it smelled like chicken, I was like,
Anybody know a place to
Leg.
get, or where we could get in contact to get like MREs?
Champagne surplus.
Champagne surplus?
Mm-hmm. I have I meant to bring it with me. I have a whole catalog of survival food. This guy's gonna bring in a can that he has. I guess he has these seed cans.
Mhm.
And you have like northern region or southern region of the United States. You can just get, it's like a paint can. So it just comes with a whole buttload of seeds.
Okay.
Different stuff.
So that's a
stuff
seed.
that you can grow.
Portable seed
But
storage.
there's also, you can just buy the whole pack of stuff that's already sealed up for you and everything, so you can just let it sit. And in an emergency situation, you go out. If it lasts an extended period of time, then you have fresh seed that is not going to be tainted. But I have a book that has like, what do you want, for a year's worth of food, and then it's got like the premium package. It's all the gourmet shit. And then
Right.
there's basic package and the middle package and all of that. So you can spend.
It's all
anywhere-
MREs though, it's all.
Well, you can get MREs, or you can get, I guess privately made stuff, like something these specialized companies do. But
I'm just thinking for
There's your
compactness because
Food
I was
pantry.
thinking about it the other day, like when you just go and start storing up cans, like you need 500 cans of food to like sustain one human being for like 3 months.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
right.
saying?
Lots of camping. I don't know, but I know like some serious trekkers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
they have some pretty serious like dry food because they're real concerned about weight.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's what I'm
Compact.
saying.
There's like this whole like ultralight camping movement and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and they actually they'll get it down to where just like the essentials are like dry food, and then they'll have like pill forms and stuff too.
Right, where it's just super concentrated
Maybe
protein
get that
and
stuff from
carbs.
like Dick's then, huh?
I'm not sure
Probably
exactly.
many people do. Yeah.
Dick's MC Sports or something.
Or even GNC or something like that. But rice and oats. Oats are good to carry. They're not as heavy as rice is. But rice is just like you can make just a little bit of it, and it's like
Yeah.
hardly go through any of it. It's filling. But oats are lighter.
Yeah, food pantry is the last place I ever saw one of those army meals.
At the, what food pantry around here?
Yeah, not around here. But
No?
I know
But
last
at
time I
a
ate.
food
Last time I
pantry?
ate one, it was from a food pantry.
They're not very cheap. okay?
Crazy.
MREs are they
Well,
really
who was
are.
talking last week? Was that John saying that like he went to go pick up some, or was talking to somebody that had an overabundance of MREs and they just started, they gave him a box full? Where's that place?
Yeah, go get some more.
You know?
Also, like,
It's
what
probably
about
that hippie circuit that we're not a part of, that we need to become a part of.
And they say
Why,
it's like
is he-
MREs are 15 years, I think.
What, he didn't tell you with the sideburns?
Well, like,
They like talk to you?
I saw him in some of the pictures
Yeah,
on
John, we're
Facebook.
talking about your sideburns.
Some
Burns.
pictures of him on Facebook hanging out with what's his name, Harry Joe.
Who's Harry Joe?
I have no idea.
He protested with us once.
I don't know.
That had the little devil party.
Oh, that one, yeah. Kid with the lambskin vest.
And moccasins.
Dreadlocks and moccasins. We're not making fun of you, Joe. We're laughing with you. I keep forgetting we're on video.
Video.
Harry Joe.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at what you're wearing.
or egg, whatever.
But yeah, Champagne Surplus has them. They got to be around $6 or $7 a piece. But the way I look at it is,
The MREs are?
yeah, the way I look at it is, I've had some before, and it's like a day's worth of MREs could probably last me 4 or 5 days.
And a
They're just
day's
so
worth is the
jam-packed.
$6 or $7 price, or?
Yeah, that would be like one of your regular packs. It would have your entree meal in it. It'll have like a biscuit bread type of thing. It's like a bland Pop-Tart
Mhm.
with some type of cheese spread. And the only thing I'm worried about with MREs is like, are they sticking saltpeter in and stuff? You know?
Right,
And what,
because it
what-
is being
what-
created for
yeah,
military.
what preservatives are in this stuff, because they can last 15 years. But that's the thing is, you know,
Cat food.
in a situation like this, you may have to put some things in your body that you wouldn't usually. And something like that, it's not going to create long-term damage. It might
No.
make you a little woozy or feel.
Not worried about not being able to get a freaking stiffy for a few days while I'm fishing.
Right.
I'm all right with that.
But you know, I just don't like being messed with like that. You know.
Right.
So,
Me either.
especially with preservatives and things like that, the way that like look at what
I have to
MSG,
detox myself
every
off of my current.
every recipe in the
Intake
old
of
Betty Crocker
preservatives.
cookbook I have says like 2 tablespoons MSG. You know. Every single
That's
one has,
something
like-
that I think we could probably use too, would be like a survival cookbook, right?
Yeah, and
I don't know if that's included in there, actually. I haven't looked.
Don't you have one of these?
And
What?
Survival.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got the wilderness skills, but
Most of mine are just strictly wilderness survival. Like
Yeah.
Tom Brown is mostly what I got, and then I got some wild edible plant books.
cool.
Sam Thayer, he's got the best wild edible plant books I can think of, but they're not really compact. It's like something like Peterson's Field Guide, or there's some
Right.
other ones that are really,
Small, you can fit in your
yeah, they got
backpack.
tons of stuff. In
I
there.
put that one in my backpack, but it's kind of heavy, really,
Yeah.
in the big scheme of, survival books, it's big.
But
Still.
yeah. But if it's got everything,
It's got a ton of stuff in it,
Yeah.
tons. I mean, it's got wild edibles,
Uh-huh. But like,
medicinals, everything.
yeah, for example, like he's got like pages and pages just on like the acorn and how to identify like good acorns, how to prepare it, how to leach it, all that kind of stuff at the time of here to find it. It's just, it's the most thorough that I've ever seen, so it's a good one to learn.
What's his name?
His name's Samuel Thayer.
You know, that's the thing, man. Being out in
I mean, I got that
Northern
book,
California
so
and looking at the
I'd
oak
be,
trees out
you know,
there.
happy to share that.
They're all
First
undersized.
take a look at
The
it,
leaves
so-
are tiny. They've got these little itty bitty acorns on them. You come out here, there's gigantic trees with big old giant leaves, big old acorns. It's
Yeah.
just- I don't know why. I mean, it must have to do with the seasons or something like that.
What do you guys think?
There's some big ones
A
up
general,
here.
a general consensus.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about having like maybe our next meeting consist of us trying to, or maybe put together a small emergency survival backpack? Like lightweight, something you keep in the trunk of your car, and has your parachute cords, has your wild edible guide, has your, you know, ferro rod, flint and steel, tinder, and putting together that list of the ultra light, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ultra light list of things that everybody should have, and then trying to find a way to make it cost little or nothing to put it together to where anybody can do it. Because I can see that a lot of the people that are going to be coming to our groups are going to be in similar situations to me and a lot of other people where, you know, if we all had $10,000 in the bank, we wouldn't be worrying about this survival tactic right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it all has to be within people that have medium to limited means to be able to have extra money to spend on a survival pack. Do you think that's a good?
Yeah.
I think that would be a good focus point, and then learning how to use all the stuff within that backpack.
Cool.
Right?
Another thing in the pack, towel. Just like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you gotta have a towel, always.
So we'll put P-cord, you said, right? Would that be good something to have? in the
I
kit?
think so.
Yeah, I mean, any type of cord
Probably
is like that's
extra
good.
too, more than just probably for a bowstring, because.
So P-cord maybe 20 foot?
I'd say even more, I mean, if you
If
can
you
fit
can
it.
put as many as you can. Well, I guess it takes up a lot less space than a regular rope, so you could probably afford to put.
Yeah, you have to get it rolled up and everything.
It's almost like, it's
Like
probably like,
pinky thick?
oh, it's probably 3/16 of an inch thick, quarter-inch thick,
Oh,
3/16.
that's nothing. You can put a bunch in there then, say 50 foot. Do we say flint and steel? Is that a good thing?
Or whatever's preferred by whoever, you know, whatever,
Fire starter kit.
spark kit.
Right.
Tinder, water.
So, water or a way to purify water?
Yeah.
Like a
maybe both.
canteen and water purification.
And maybe you should invite Colleen and teach us how to meditate or something.
Well, it's always good to keep your marbles about you in an
That is, well,
emergency situation.
your mental state is usually one of the biggest factors on
It
whether you can
is,
survive or not.
definitely,
Mhm.
definitely.
You gotta stay calm.
Like moving from, I mean, maybe nobody else had this problem, but moving from Georgia to northern Wisconsin, I found myself outside in the cold at times when nobody else was.
Right.
Yeah. And just, you know, kind of getting.
What's a good thing to use for a blanket
calm.
other than an actual huge, thick, giant
They have those
fucking blanket?
emergency,
space blankets.
yeah, those emergency foil or whatever
Are
blankets.
they
I don't-
expensive?
I think they're pretty cheap, but I don't even know if they work or not. I've never used one.
Used one either, but it's just like a highly reflective material that's supposed to keep reflecting the heat
Sunlight.
back in. The heat
It's supposed to
that
hold your
radiates off
body
the
heat
body,
in and
yeah.
like absorb
So
sunlight
they've
or
got those
something.
in farm fleets, an emergency blanket. And then, do we just say an outright tent or like a tarp? Like a piece
Tarps
of tarp.
are definitely a lot more lightweight, but it's good. I think a tarp, I think, could work just as good as long as you construct, you know, kind of incorporate it into like a sound kind of structure, or just
You're
at
gonna make
least
a
like
lean-to with
you
a
pick
tarp
a really good
roof.
site, or you're not gonna get, because it's flooded out underneath,
Okay, so maybe a
stuff like that.
8 foot by 8 foot section of tarp.
8 by 10, I think they sell, or 6 by 8.
Okay, we'll say 6 by 8.
Could
Ever since I made something.
I think 8x10s would be better.
Ever
Sorry.
since I
Yeah.
made something out of that plastic that they use for construction, anytime I go in the woods, if I can find one, I take that with me.
Plastic.
You know that really thick plastic they use for construction that cover everything with
Mhm.
it when it rains?
Mhm.
That stuff's really warm. Like if it's cold outside,
Really?
you get under that, you're warm. The
Mhm.
sun heats you right up. Even though it's freezing outside of the plastic. I think it's just high density polyethylene. It's a nice big piece of.
Super thick plastic is all it is, clear?
Yeah, I think they sell it Lowe's and stuff like
1.5,
that.
2 mils, something like that.
Oh, you're talking that clear plastic
Yeah,
stuff?
it's about-
Oh, yeah.
About
You
that.
can get it in all
I like my
different
privacy,
kinds of
though.
things. Yeah.
It's about
I don't need
that
people to
big.
see me.
It's about 10 pages.
Those are also that.
Yeah, I've made a tent
never-
out of that before.
I've never made it, but that was also make make it one of the materials they used to make it solar still. It's that plastic sheet like that.
You said a solar still?
Yeah, I've never made one, but it's a Tom Brown thing, and you dig a pit in the ground, you put like some kind of receptacle there, like a coffee can
Mhm.
or a canteen or something, at the bottom and center of it, and then you put this plastic sheet over the pit, and you put maybe like a pebble or something in the center of it to make
Dip it in
it
the
cone
middle.
shaped, yeah, to where
Condensation all
kinda-
builds and then
yep,
drips.
Yeah,
Cool.
and then the water's ready to go. It's it's distilled.
I think I've
water
seen one of
pretty
those
much.
before too. Yeah, those are pretty cool, the condensation.
Mhm.
Also, you remember when, remember Samara, the crazy girl?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, they climbed the wind tower. Yeah.
I spent
Wait, so on video.
Yeah.
That's all right, we like naked.
I didn't
climbing
witness it,
towers.
but-
It's okay.
I followed her, I followed her
I
through the
admire
woods.
her for
I
her
followed her
courage.
through the woods one night, and I spent the night in the woods. Remember that big coat I had, the big down coat?
Yeah.
I spent the night in the woods with just that, and I was perfectly warm.
Oh,
A big down coat.
one thing we had to make sure that we include in that kit is a good, durable, and reliable knife.
Yes, 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 yes. yes.
That one is for you, Mr. John of the Blatt family, or, yeah, Blattman family. He's from the UK. He's going to be watching this video. He said, if you
Oh,
don't
cool.
focus on anything else, you make sure everybody has a good, reliable knife
Yep, that's,
that
I'd
you
say
can
check
take care
on
of,
that.
and it's your best friend, and you know how to sharpen it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, and I've seen, what was it? I think it was Dual Survivor or Survivor Man.
Mhm.
The blade he used was just, a short little 4-inch
Okay.
blade, double-sided, where like part of it, like I think it wasn't double-sided, like it had like an inch and a half on one side that was dull, and then it was blade here and blade all the way down. I
Gotcha.
don't remember what kind of blade that's called, but, I mean, he used it for everything. He sharpened.
I think that comes down in a lot of cases to preference too.
Mhm.
I mean, I got my own knife that I already
I
got.
got mine too.
It's just a flip open, cobalt, flip open, one
Yeah.
side edge. You flip the other side, it's got a razor knife on it.
Mhm.
And I got a stockpile of razor blades.
Knives are super important.
I've never carried a knife, that's probably why my teeth are all dull.
Yeah?
Is that supposed to be a riddle or something?
I'm trying to follow.
In most cases where I need a knife.
Oh, he uses the
I use my
teeth.
teeth.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so for
you're
basic
you're a
kit-
William all-purpose tool.
Basic kit, P-cord, flint and steel, canteen with water purificator stuff, towel, purificator, that's not a word. Emergency blanket, 8x10 tarp, survival handbook, which would include your, wild edibles, medicinals, all that different stuff, snare making, all that great stuff. And then a knife. Can anybody think of anything else? So, I'm trying to create a really basic, anybody can put it together.
I would say some type of immediate food, even if it's something like an energy bar or jerky or,
Okay.
something like that. I don't know how long nuts last inside a can. You have to keep them sealed.
So immediately,
I know that they have expiration dates
immediate
on them.
non-perishable food.
Right. hamburger helper, you know, something like that.
As far as warmth
old-fashioned
goes,
pemmican.
What's that?
Pemmican.
What's that?
It's basically beef jerky. It's dried out real good, pounded, mixed with fat and berries.
Oh, okay.
Cranberries, or any kind of berries, really. So you got your
Like a
fat,
trail mix.
protein,
You got
your
everything all
sugar.
at once, a macronutrient. or whatever.
There's an article in Backwoodsman about how to make the good trail mix. So, and it's like jerky, nuts, berries, something like
That's
that.
what that is, then basically, you're just
Pretty much, yeah.
putting it all together.
Minus, instead of nuts, they use like rendered fat. Could be any kind of fat,
Trail
deer fat.
mix.
That's all.
Donuts.
Hydrogenated
If you look at my
Crisco.
trunk, it's gonna be full of donuts. I don't know about you. I'm just gonna live in my trunk. I'm not leaving.
we got plastic on that list.
Well, we use tarp.
Yeah, well, not just tarp, I mean, any kind of that synthetic material is really warm. Most of these coats are made of plastic,
Some type of plastic. Yeah.
down coats.
All I know is this guy right here. This is like really, 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 really.
So like
nice.
a
Except it doesn't
10
go
by
all the way
10.
down. It just covers the torso.
Yeah, what's that? Polyester, probably.
This is cotton on the outside. I don't know what the inside is.
Wool. Polyester.
It's not wool.
Acrylic.
It's some synthetic.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, wool. That's awesome.
I love wool.
recommend
Warm jacket.
I like
Except it causes static electricity. So you walk around shocking everything that touches
Yeah,
it.
another fire.
Hey,
Hey,
Start a
that might be
fire.
all right. If you harness that energy, buddy, you got yourself a fire.
You're walking around the camp all like.
I like wool. It's
Not
quiet.
getting any
too.
friction here.
It doesn't make a lot of noise. So if you are hunting or something, it's good.
What is it?
Wool.
Oh, well, yeah.
And it's very warm. It's fairly waterproof.
And yeah, and even if it is get wet, it still keeps you warm. Where cotton.
So Stell has a distillery.
Really?
They have an orchard,
A distillery.
a distillery.
What do they make? What kind
Well,
of-
it's
Spirits.
basically out of use now. In the 80s, they got this government grant to start an ethanol plant.
Oh.
They don't use it anymore. But what this one guy wants to do is he wants to start making ethanol out of the apples from the apple orchard because nobody wants to take the time to prune these trees down and like make them edible apples. You know, of course there's going to be some that are edible, but there's a lot of apples produced in there that are undersized or the bugs get to them. They're trying to do all this stuff organic, so you know it's all trial and error. I don't see why there wouldn't be a cool idea to try to get this thing running. You know, just to that's part of the skills, the learning, putting things together. You know, processes and all that.
And apples have a lot of sugar.
A lot of starch, yeah.
A lot.
That's kind of a good idea, man.
A lot.
So, I mean, ethanol plant right there. They run a community garden. You know, there's plenty of stuff out there that very well could do as some type of learning process or demonstration or exercise or that type of stuff.
Did you ever go to that place in, you the one that asked me that? What's the name of the town? What's the name of your town that you have a farm
Where I was working last summer?
in? No, remember a long time ago you wanted to have a farm in this town?
Oh, Pembroke.
Pembroke. You ever been to that place in Pembroke?
No.
Some kind of a ecological,
I've heard about it.
yeah. I'm
What is
supposed
there
to
now?
go and take a tour.
Oh, really? When you
It's like
go,
a-
you
it's like
wouldn't
a,
even
it's
know?
like, I think it's a farm, but then they teach,
Oh, really?
yeah, they teach you like a lot of,
Oh, I've heard about this place too. The guy was living in Chicago. I talked to him. He wanted to do a cob building workshop. Long time.
Well, there's
Some
another
kind of
place out by
educational.
Mantino called the Lease Farm, and they do a lot of workshops in like pruning, beekeeping. And I know they built some type of straw bale structure, and they do workshops all the time there.
Yeah.
They like sustainability stuff.
Well,
There's a whole sustainability organization, like just going down the tubes right now and stuff.
What do you mean? Oh, it's going down the tubes?
Yeah, they changed their membership up, that, you know, basically demanding part of people's incomes and their time. And you know, they wanted me to be there, but the only reason they want me to be there is because everybody else is middle-aged and they can't handle the workload.
Sounds like they
And-
need to join with someone else.
No, what they did though is they kind of went backward. They made these restrictive rules. So like I could still be a member of this organization, but because I don't have 2% of my income to donate to them, even though I have probably 5 to 10% of my time to donate to them, I'm not allowed to vote on their board or for their board. I'm not allowed to participate in any voting whatsoever. And then so there's other people who, if they do pay this amount of money and they do put their time in, they get a vote for the board and all this stuff. And it's like, it was the birthing of kind of like a classes, you know, classes of people within this organization. I was like, I'm not doing this, and I voiced my opinion about it at a meeting and all this stuff, and they tried to, you know, pretty much, you know, you put a bow on a piece of shit, you're still gonna have a piece of shit, you know, but,
Dress up a turd, but it's still a turd.
I guess, there you go. But, they,
No idea what we're talking about.
I mean, they had like 45, 50 members, paying members.
You got it.
They're down to like 6 or 7. And it was all because of that policy right there, that membership policy. I'm talking about the sustainability organization in Stell.
Oh, Jerry, you have a bug-out vehicle that could possibly haul a trailer?
No, I don't, but I have access to people who might be able to loan me a vehicle in an emergency.
Is your
situation.
car any level reliable as far as you bugging out in it, like the trunk, putting stuff in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If supplies need to be moved, hell yeah. And like I said, I could probably get a truck if I need to. If it was like everybody consciously was in a situation where shit's hitting the fan, borrow your truck, I got some shit to go pick up. All right, cool, go.
Okay.
And then I go to the Walmart.
Are we talking about old sites from the Underground Railroad?
Yeah, why not?
Aren't we talking about that at one point?
No, I don't think, you were probably going to interject that idea and maybe.
There is a lot of. I know that maybe I know we may have, William. We may have at one of the marches or whatever, one of the protests. Basically down these railroad tracks that go along Route 45. There's underground railroad houses like everywhere.
Maybe you mentioned it when I was talking about that
Largo,
article.
Buckley, Loda, Paxton. You know, you just
That
keep
old
going.
schoolhouse they found. I think that's
Where?
when we started talking.
You know, Arga or Gilman or
Meaning
something?
like abandoned
Urban A.
buildings that have.
No,
crawl spaces?
they were houses that are probably most of them inhabited still.
Oh, okay.
And you know, they've got like basements and sub-basements and hidden walls and, you know, secret rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know that old schoolhouse they found in Bourbon A? Inside of another building, in the basement of another building.
Really?
Really?
The family just never,
Went in there?
no one ever knew about it, so.
Well, they find like a
What
secret wall or
about,
something?
I guess the family sold the house, and the county was like, whoa! So they tore down the house, and now it's a new little.
what about,
Wow, that's cool.
what about hunting weapons or protection weapons? In this group here, because
I don't have a FOID
we came
card.
up with a slingshot last group,
Yeah.
and that's from William.
So we've got the pea shooters and the slings and and that. But when it comes to firearms,
Okay, let's say not FOID card. Let's say not registered, because
Yeah, all sorts of good stuff.
to be perfectly honest, like in this climate right now in our country, I don't know if a FOID card is I mean, if we're trying to be
right.
like off the radar anyway, I don't know if worrying about a FOID card is a problem.
Well, I can say I have access to illegal firearms.
Unregistered firearms?
Yeah, unregistered, whatever.
Are we all
you know.
sitting right in key?
yeah, but I
See, I'm not privy to that element around here though, so I'm not just gonna walk up to some random thug in the street and be like, yo.
Where can I get a
Even though
gun?
I'm in the right neighborhood, I
Where can
probably
get
could
a
just
gun?
sit outside long enough. We'll probably get offered one, but.
but yeah, I think I can get access to
Hey,
unregistered
dude, $10, man.
as needed, but I mean it would have to be like a cash exchange,
Right.
like, you know.
Like rifle, like hunting, like even just like a 22, you know what I'm saying,
Yep.
for like small games,
Yep.
stuff like, not even that, maybe even like pellet guns.
See, you don't
Those
need,
are good
yeah,
for
see,
small game, too.
I would like to go get They even have these really kick-ass BB guns these days. You know,
Yeah.
Paintball
1,200
man.
feet per second.
yeah, right. You know, like 10
Single
pumps,
pump.
11 pumps. Oh.
And even just single pump, you can get them in there. Bam.
I mean, I shot off this BB gun last year. It was a I don't know what kind it was. It had scope and everything on it. We were playing a board game in this guy's garage, and he had the garage about yay high, open the door, and we're all just carrying on, drinking beer and playing this game, and this possum comes just wandering in, goes in there, and he goes and grabs his BB gun, pumps that thing up about 10 times, one shot,
Right in the head.
right in the head, gone, done. So,
I
I mean,
speared
that
one with a
possum
steak
killer,
knife on
hey.
a broom once.
What, a possum?
Yeah, in my
Probably
garage.
lived too, didn't it?
No, it was dead as a doornail. It was like in a pile of tires in my buddy's garage. And he's like, man, there's a possum there, dude, we gotta get it out. I was like, I got an idea. And I went in the house, freaking unscrewed the broom handle and taped a freaking steak knife to it. And I went out there. I was like, where's it at? He's like, you can see it right there. All you heard was it make like a squealing noise, and then the whole garage
It makes
just
weird-
stunk, dude. It was horrible. Like death throes and death stench. And we threw it out in the yard and left it there. We were like 17. And we left it in the grass for like ever.
Hey, in the basement of the dorm that I used to live in Macmillan, I didn't kill the mouse, I missed. But there was a mouse that kept peeking out and watching TV with me, right? I should kill it. So I got a pencil and I sharpened it. Rubber band on a book. Almost got the pencil's gone. The pencil was deep into it.
Hey, dude. Sorry to interrupt. Oh, we're just chit-chatting.
What's happening?
We're trading rodent killing stories.
That's a good weapon though. A pencil and a rubber band.
Devin. Good to meet you.
Devin.
I think I know everyone else.
How you been?
Devin.
Oh,
Steve.
yeah.
Yeah.
We communicated via Facebook about some.
Garden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My life is crazy busy.
Devin, what's your last name, dude?
Dempsey?
Right there with you.
Dempsey? You're not on
Yeah, maybe we'll
any
get
of the
this thing
survival
going.
pages on our Facebook.
When did you
right?
guys start?
No, we're gonna have to get you on there. Are you on Facebook?
Today at 5, I think he had a meeting last week too.
Okay, I did today.
Okay. Well, I just asked because last week it was.
Yeah, it's with
a little later.
Devin.
You know it's a different meeting now.
Might
That
have
would
trouble
be
finding
important.
it.
Different meeting?
Yeah.
Huh?
Is it a happy
Might have
KTV
trouble finding
meeting?
it.
The survival
Gotcha.
meeting.
But actually, you know what, I'm
I
willing
didn't know
to
that.
so-
Yeah.
Our emergency pack, are we happy with this list as it lies? Pass it around, see if there's anything you guys want to add. We're trying, what we're doing is we're completing an emergency pack that everybody can keep in the back of their car or whatever
Sure,
at home.
sure.
Something really lightweight, ultra light and then teaching everybody how to use the contents in the pack. You know,
Okay.
you've got parachute cord, which could be used for bow fire making or maybe snare making,
Oh, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? And the important-
Sure.
Basically, it's your
TP.
basic skin rope that you can use for all purpose stuff in survival. Flint and steels, canteens, water purifiers, towels, all that basic, a knife, and a survival handbook. And then we're trying to do it in a way that, put a shovel on there too then, buddy.
You know what? A shovel is probably more appropriate. You can
Right.
use a leaf to wipe your ass. You know?
Right. But putting together a list that's super inexpensive too,
Sure.
full of products that don't cost a lot of money because, again, you know, we want it to be available to anybody.
Sure.
And what if we buy in bulk? You know, that's one thing too.
True. Farm and Fleet's got a lot of cheap stuff like that, even like machetes. I got a machete there for like under $10. You know what I mean? And like, you know, a quick little.
Yeah, I'm
stone
kicking myself for
sharpener
not
with.
bringing that magazine. They have water purification stuff in there. They've got it's all basically based on food.
Good.
Shovel? Yeah.
You know, up
Like
in
a little, like a
Wisconsin-
hand shovel.
Little hand shovel.
Up in Wisconsin, they found
Food and stuff.
they found this clay, this hollow clay thing. They shook it. They thought maybe it was a maraca or something like that. They busted it open, and they freaking found seeds in there. And they planted them. They ended up being the squash that no one's ever seen.
Where was this?
Up in Wisconsin.
Really?
They say it was probably the seeds were probably 1,000 years old, and they were just encased in the clay.
And they
They
grew.
growing.
They germinated.
And now they're saving the seeds and trying to
Wow.
Can you see pictures of the squash or no?
That's.
you know what, I don't know. It was just a story I came across and, you know, came and went. It's
So
just,
I love stuff like that.
yeah, like seed saving, that's important, very important.
Just goes to show you how long you can save a seed for in the right.
Oh, no, yeah, once it's dried, I mean, it's indefinite.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then you've got the clay keeping it, all
Oh,
the
sure.
moisture out and all
Sure,
the
yeah.
extreme temperatures and things like that out. It's
That's
pretty
cool.
Yeah,
Probably a thought to be, well, obviously extinct.
Baghdad batteries, he makes Baghdad batteries.
Baghdad batteries.
Oh yeah, it's just clay pot.
What do they use for the liquid? Just like orange juice or
Copper
something?
and use an acidic beverage like a
theorized
apple
that's what,
cider
like,
or
the marketing company
you know,
was.
basically citrusy
was, like,
juices.
These Baghdad batteries.
Really?
Yeah,
Creates
there's
electricity.
theories of that.
Well, I've heard the theory that the pyramids were nothing more than a primitive nuclear power generator. Basically a giant power
Oh, yeah,
station.
they found in Africa, they found, what was it?
That's what
It
all
was-
the portholes in it, and they direct sunlight into a specific way where it was like heating up, and at the top of it actually was was the conductor that sent the electricity throughout the rest of the city.
Yeah, they found like a ancient nuclear reactor, like there was a uranium deposit, and like they had gone to this place because they thought it was like this holy site, but it was
Mhm.
actually uranium and it was
Right.
creating.
They thought it was holy because every time people went down there, their teeth fell out.
Oh, right.
Came out bald.
On the topic of water purification, like a couple years back, I came across this. It's a product that they tried to develop for third world countries, where basically, can I just draw on this?
Ouch.
Or basically,
Draw there too.
would you prefer?
Go ahead, yeah. Draw there.
It's along the lines of the like 30-gallon water drums. Basically, what they would do is they would have this filter at the top, and then this kind of cone shape, or like picture if this was going around, you know, like that. And so what would happen is you'd pour the water in, and it would go around the edges here, and then sunlight would evaporate the water and separate the impurities from the water, and then you could just basically pour the water out, and it's pure.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Have you heard about these?
Yeah.
So it would evaporate into the film around the cone and drip off the sides and leave the water.
Right.
Wow, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, you know, there was actually like I'm sorry, there was another piece underneath. So you pour the water in here, then it evaporate and go to the sides.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the sediment would stay here, and then the water would go here. It's pretty cool. Like I don't know if they ever developed it in anything, but they had prototypes where they would take like seawater and do the same type of thing, and like
Which is separating salt, which
Right.
is a huge deal.
right desalination. I mean, that's,
Right, and for desalination, it's such a simple thing, because they're talking about, you know, how expensive it is to do, and then it doesn't seem like it's that expensive there, or something like that. Do you?
I mean, it's just plastic, so I mean, like.
So now, I've heard of people just, you know, they're just handing out regular old plastic bottles and telling people to put their water in it, and then you just set it out and let it sit in the sun. It'll separate it, no matter what.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like, this process, from what I saw on the videos and things like that, you know, it removed that sediment for sure. You know, it separated it, it was much easier. I mean, you just take the bottom out, clean it out, and then pour it again, you know.
Like those solar stills that I was saying about, he's like, anytime you gotta take a piss, he said, just, you know, pee in the pit, and that'll add the water too, and it'll distill it.
Same type
Well,
of
the
It'd be
thing.
totally
water
clean
right
to
out of it.
drink. Yeah, it'd be totally clean to drink instead.
That's pretty crazy. That's cool though.
So, like, are you guys, aside from, like, informational, are you doing any workshops or anything like that? or-
That's all in the works as far as I'm concerned. This is all, you know, just like anything else. I think it's kind of by consensus what we think we need.
Yeah, we went, we discussed doing something here, some kind of workshop.
I know the season isn't necessarily friendly to outdoor workshops right now unless we wanted to do something in.
So it wouldn't be hardcore.
It's primed to get it ready for spring. I mean, as far
And
as
so if we wanted to do that, yeah.
growing workshops and things like that, you know, growing your own food, like, that's one thing that I talked to you about during the Occupy Night, was starting like a community garden to get people more involved in growing their own food and understanding how it works. That's what when I emailed you, what that was really about.
Now, could we get space to do something like that as far as like a a greenhouse space right now to germinate seeds for the spring, or are we
Germinating seeds, I mean, like,
to get them to the point where they're ready to go into the ground?
That doesn't start for probably another 5 or 6 weeks.
yeah, you're not wanting to do it till March. Depending on, I mean, like, you see how mild this winter's gonna be.
Yeah, it's gonna be the opposite of what they warned it was
Yeah,
gonna be.
yeah. So, I mean, like.
Well, I'm not gonna make any statements on that because February and March
Well,
will be really bad.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and they say that, you know, the last frost is until middle or end of May. So, I mean, like, if you
Right,
start
you're
too
not putting them
early, you have
outside
plants,
too
which
much.
is fine. But, I mean, like, then you have the transplanting and the risk of transplanting. But, I don't know.
Can we get, what I'm saying is, can we rent space at KCC? Do they have a
We could rent space at
horticulture?
Stell if we wanted to germinate plants.
That's what I'm saying.
I know a
Is
guy
there
who's
like-
got a greenhouse.
Oh, yeah.
I
So we
actually
could
know a
do that
couple
once
people
a
who- yeah.
week or something, maybe even move our meetings to that area or something once a month, see how our plants are doing, and have somebody kind of taking care of them in the meantime.
Yeah, which I can do, I'm doing it anyway. I have, I'm gonna have 66 square foot, 1 square foot, plots in my backyard
Mhm.
that I'm going to be doing my regular gardening, and I'm setting up some grapevines actually too.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include things like, because I might, well, my potatoes, I'm gonna make a barrel, fashion a barrel for making growing potatoes in.
Well, let's do that, dude. Let's set up a seed,
Germination.
germination
And growing and
garden and growing.
We
Or
might
like
even
a
be able to do
basic
something
horticulture.
we might even be able to do something in accordance with CSC, that sustainability organization, because they, this is old people trying to run a garden that's these gigantic plots, man, they're like 15 by 20, and there's at least 15 of them, and
Do we have
Where's
an
that at?
operational
Oh,
greenhouse?
oh.
The greenhouse, the greenhouse I'm talking about is non-heated. That's why he can't do anything in the winter. But he can do like cold crops up to a certain point in the winter, and he can start his germination in this thing too, because
He can start with.
it can be
Can't start
37 or
right.
42 degrees
Well-
outside, and his greenhouse is 80 or 85 degrees.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So he's
So
got it
it's
set up to where it absorbs
direct
sunlight and all that, and heats it up in there. And in the summertime, I've done work for this guy, it'd be 90 degrees out, and you go inside there, it's 130. And you're like, oh man.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got
Well,
both windows, or
What
both
do you want
doors
to
open.
plan for that then? When would be, you want to talk to him first before we start?
Yeah, I'll talk to Barry about renting some space, because I know he's gonna want some kind of thing. Now, every year they always bring in a load of compost. We can do our own if we wanted. It's not hard to do. I've started mine, and yeah, I reduced my trash to, I think I had 2 bags of trash in 3 weeks. Now I'm focusing on recycling and composting. One of those regular 11-gallon things, 12-gallon. So
Do we want to, as far as situations like that then, purchasing seeds, do we want to do kind of like we were going to do with the Occupy and like donate $1 every meeting per person? Can we do
But
that?
you could
I don't have
also
a dollar
do
right
it,
now.
it could be kind of cool is.
I'm just saying, so from now on, we plan on bringing $1.
If you wanted to, you could also, if you got, because I heard you talking about having like a seed stash or something like that, you could just buy a small amount of seeds this spring and plant everything
And just really anticipate
for
on.
seed saving, yeah.
On saving seeds as you harvest,
Well, you could
That
even-
You'll multiply.
you could even just specify a certain amount of your plants that you're going to be growing, go to doing this.
Just
like,
receive
this many tomato plants, we got 10 tomato plants, one of them is going to go to seeds, Well, I mean, you want to do it differently than that, because you're probably going to have different species of tomatoes, but, if you had 10 of the same plant, one should have plenty of seeds in it to save.
Now, do you have issues with heirloom seeds versus conventional, purple seeds?
What, like GMOs?
Yeah, GMO.
I'm not a fan of them because I don't know what they're about. I don't
Well,
know.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, you can opt for heirloom seeds, and those aren't GMOs. Those aren't genetically modified, and those
Right.
are, their lineage, goes back to the end of age or
I
whatever.
prefer,
from beginning of age.
definitely.
I mean, well, that's just a consideration, because anything that you're buying at the store is not heirloom. You have to order it special.
Yep. I'm not above doing stuff that, you know.
How do you know if it's truly an heirloom seed?
It'll say it on there.
Other than it saying it,
Pollinated.
But I'm saying, other than them saying it.
it's their word. I mean, they could totally be blowing it up their ass, but, I mean.
The words to look for are heirloom or open pollinated.
Right.
But if they know to put that on there, they could just be selling you the same
But
shit that anybody else is.
Yeah, but, you know, they
You
take
could-
pride,
you
the
could
people who
actually-
do heirloom do take a lot of pride in it, you know. and-
It really is. They're really against
So
the
we need to
GMOs.
investigate like a really
But I mean, there's like a,
reputable source for
I
that.
could probably get ahold of my guy Steve and he'll, or, I mean, unless you.
well, I mean, there's some online sites. I mean, there's one in, there's a seed bank in Missouri, in St. Louis, that they sell exclusively heirloom seeds, you know.
What's that?
I think it's called the Seed Depository or something similar to that fashion.
Yeah.
They actually took an old bank and,
That's what they did in Northern California.
Yeah.
What was it? I want to say Petaluma, California. It was,
Oh,
they called the seed bank.
Yeah.
It's this big ass old bank.
Oh, that's
And
pretty-
they do nothing but sell seeds there.
that's cool.
Okay, so that's a good, this is a good category for training or just learning in general, is how to germinate seeds and plant and grow your own plants.
Mhm.
you know, I'm not trying to cut you off, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'm excited about this gardening because I've been trying for years to try to get this plot down the street, and it's a central location where we could be teaching these classes and we could be providing food, you know, to people with disadvantaged and things like that.
Mhm.
That spot's up for sale. Last I checked, maybe a year ago, it was like 10 grand. But we could ask them, hey, since you're not using this for anything else until it's for something, can we use it?
Mhm.
You know, or rent
Why
it
don't
out.
you know who
for
to contact?
I think it's like 937-1400 or something like that. There's something out there that's Macaulay, I think it's Macaulay Real Estate.
Oh, there's a real estate sign up.
Yeah, there's a real estate sign out there, so, I mean, the option's there.
They could probably put us in contact at least with the original owner of it.
Or they
who's
can
trying to sell it.
contact them, yeah.
Right.
The other thing I was gonna tell you, as far as weapons and ammo, like I have a friend who's very much into this survival stuff.
Mhm.
If you wanna find him on Facebook, his name is Daniel Willis,
Mhm.
Willis. It's funny because we actually went shooting
Now,
on Saturday.
is he as far as weapons and ammo, I mean, is it all, the whole spectrum, like rifles, shotguns, handguns, bow and arrow,
Yeah,
slingshots, claymores, I mean, whatever?
I don't think he's gotten into ballistics or things like that.
Okay.
But, I mean, like,
Registered, unregistered?
registered.
All registered?
All registered. I have some other friends who also have a number of guns, you know. I'm just saying, like, it's just funny that you guys are talking about this because on Saturday we went shooting.
Cool. Well, if you can talk to him, he's your friend, about possibility of unregistered.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying, because there's a lot of guys that are into the registered weapons right now that are moving a lot of their multitudes of guns into the unregistered category because
Really?
of some of the laws that are coming, that are being whispered about coming across a lot of gun owners, you know, as far as stamping ammunition and the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, having a registered
Actually,
firearm could
I haven't heard about that.
not be a good idea.
Sure,
You
sure.
might be an enemy of the state real soon if you're known to have a firearm,
Sure.
you know? So,
You might be an enemy of the state soon for just about anything.
for us sitting in this room having a survival conversation.
Yeah, for real.
You're storing food? How many fingers are on your left hand?
Oh, you're right-handed?
You're right-handed? Oh, you're a terrorist. Plain and simple.
So, yeah, I guess maybe we
Born in Utah? Oh. How many
we
wives do you have?
consider a survival type thing, like a workshop lasting a few days or a couple days, a weekend or something like that in the spring, and also like start working on some gardening workshops.
Okay, well, those will be the ones we'll focus on now then. Primitive
Are you
camping, backpacking.
Are you guys gonna do like a couple days at the state park type of thing, or were you thinking?
I think we go somewhere further away than for
Well,
the population.
Yeah, I've got out in Stella, there's a whole plot of land out there that's pretty much ideal, I would say.
Okay.
Stream, pond, orchard,
Oh, cool.
garden, you know, a couple of structures,
Sure.
a lot of dead wood. Unless they've cleaned it out by now, I haven't been out there in a while. it's just right next to town.
Yep.
So, and then there, there's a lot of cool demonstrative stuff as well. I mean, just a lot of neat stuff. Like people are real into the fruit trees and we're talking apples, pears, peaches, cherries, mulberries.
Now, have you guys considered alternative energy, things like that?
Been looking at the solar energy stuff.
Make your own solar, or how to do that?
I don't know how, but
I mean, there's a ton of
looking into the different
DIYs, like
affordable generators, solar generators.
Sure. Like Instructables.com, it talks about how to make solar panels and things like that. Yeah.
What is it called?
Constructible?
Instructables.com. It's free to register, and then you can go on and it has like 40 DIYs on how to do all the, make your own generator and things like that.
Well, what about water wheels? Water wheels?
Yeah, I think there's
I saw on Craigslist, like I was telling you, those little miniature freaking wind turbines. They're like $80 a piece. You just snap the tail fin and the propeller on and put it on a pole and then run the wires in.
I'd be a little leery of it, man.
Battery,
Really?
chargeable battery. And it's
I don't know. I'd be a little leery personally.
Yeah.
This guy Steve's, we start talking about that stuff, and he says, you know what? I call that kinetic art.
Yeah.
Because I guess it doesn't really produce anything.
No, it openly says that on there. They don't produce a lot, but
Right,
it'll
so-
charge a little, battery for it.
What kind of battery? What's it going to charge up? Could it charge? Could you hook it up to a car battery, then hook the car battery up to a power inverter and be able to actually run something plugged in off of it? Those types of
I think
things.
it also depends on like your wind speed.
the thing you also really consider also is
There's the one
like
I-
how much energy output do you actually need? If you're keeping it simple.
Sure.
Right.
I'm not running my TV. I'm not running my air conditioning. I'm not running all this. Once you cut all those things out, your energy
I'll be like,
is very minimal.
What was that movie, The Book of Eli? All I need is something to charge my iPod.
Yeah.
Some light and
You can just carry your solar blanket.
Luckily, I got a couple acoustic guitars, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Keep myself entertained that way, but some light actually really.
Well, light is the main thing.
Yeah, it would be pretty important. If there's work to be done.
Like
at
LED
night,
lights, though, I guess would be the.
Sure.
Candles
kinda
or
wise.
torches or?
We need to find
You're
a
talking
way to
like-
make some torches.
Well, if you-
Use some
yeah.
pitch and what else?
Oh, pitch or what else?
Yeah, because pitch works. I'm pretty sure, like, if you were to soak,
Yeah.
be able to
Soak a
soak
rag
it.
in pitch and then.
Well, I mean, you can't really soak the rag in it. Yeah, but you gotta find some way to connect it to
I'm
a
not sure what pitch is.
pine tar.
Oh.
Then you can use that. That's a very diverse.
Can you melt it down?
You might be able to.
Heat it
You
up
might be able to
or
heat it up and then stick a rag in it. That might work.
Rendered animal fat. You can
Put it
make
in a
lamps
pot,
out
There you
of
go.
it, stuff.
boil it,
Yeah.
and then stick
Like
a rag
it's
in
like a
it.
receptacle and the fat.
And then once you have it on there,
a
you
wick.
keep on it.
Cordage could be any kind of wick.
Right.
And make kind of a candle.
Cool.
Yep. Aromatic candles are better.
Smell like pig fat. Oh man.
Big
fat pine tar.
All right. Oh man. He lights up. It's like yeah. It's like my bacon fat candle.
So 2 training courses that we should plan on in the future then is seed germination and plant and whatever horticulture, and then primitive camping and backpacking.
Yeah,
Survival.
primitive survival skills or whatever. But I think this with the survival thing. Let me look into it and see what they may charge us for some whatever camping fees out there. And like I said, it's going to be real cheap. But then I think the only thing that we need to really require of anyone is that we make sure we're good on whatever food we're going to do, and that everybody brings something they can teach everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then there shouldn't be any type of charge for anybody just to come and do that. And you never know. Maybe everything will be rocking and cool, and we'll have a good old time. And next year we can, there'll be 30 people who want to.
I just want to make sure that I just want people to
Yeah,
try.
gather and share all the knowledge that you have, or not all, but whatever you can get in.
I just want people to try to bring a buck every time so that we can maybe get into the big
Get a little fun going.
meeting room and have a little fun for seeds and you know
Okay.
what I'm saying, stuff like that.
All right.
We do that in AA, dude, and it's like, come on, man, I lose $1 in the couch every week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if everybody can make sure they bring a buck when they come in, we put that in a pot, and whoever we decide wants to be the treasurer, can be the freaking treasurer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's,
I have another question. Like, do you guys know anything about, like, different types of acorns?
you were just talking about,
We got a really good book on it.
Well, I asked because, like, I know KCC out there, there's a ton of oak trees where they have different acorns and things like that, but not all of them are edible, like for humans. Some of them have slight toxins in them where it's not.
I say all acorns are
Yeah.
edible.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I say all acorns are
I think
edible.
they are, it's just they're not edible at a certain time of the year.
Okay.
well,
Tan-
you have to prepare them in a
Yes.
certain way.
Okay, well, I asked because, I mean, I know, like, that's another thing that's, like, readily available that we don't know a lot about as far as foraging.
Yeah, nuts, you know, once we started doing grains, nuts kind of went by the wayside and became a lot more expensive and stuff. But I guess
They're more of a luxury.
people used to forage for nuts like a lot back in the day.
Acorn and hazelnuts were like huge.
Mhm.
I've heard like.
It's weird though, because this
Same.
fall, like, there's an oak tree down the street from me, and last year, a ton of acorns, none, they're all this year.
Yeah.
It'd be like a biennial thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm hoping it's that type of thing, it's not like some fluke.
Oak trees are, you know, a lot of wild trees are kind of that way. They call them mast years.
Okay.
Where they'll have bumper crops.
Okay.
And then they'll have other years where it's not good. I don't know if it's a natural cycle of the tree or if it just has to do with the weather.
I think it's a natural cycle of the tree because there's some of the apple trees out there in Stell that they'll
Well, we were
have a
talking
bumper
about that
crop
too.
one
Yeah,
year,
you know-
then they won't produce the next year, and then
This year
they'll do a
wasn't
bumper crop
producing.
again.
And I've actually heard like it does play into the ecology of things. It's to the tree's benefit to do that because if it is sparse one year, but it's saving its energy for the next year,
Sure.
that's such a bumper crop that it has those seeds have more of a chance of escaping whatever eats them,
Okay.
and then they can have the next generation, whatever. But yeah, oak trees, all the acorns are edible. You just have to leach out the tannins.
Now, how does that work? I guess that, because reading up on it, that's the one thing it talked about that.
Just saltwater soak.
Is
or
it just
something like
soaking it?
Yeah, you just soak it in water. There's like a lot of different ways to do it, but it's just basically soak it in water. The tannins are water soluble, and they
Fairly simple process.
yeah.
that? Do you have to heat the water at all or anything?
Can you what?
Do you have to heat the water at all?
No, well there is like a hot leaching process. You can do it with hot water, or you can do it with cold water.
Okay.
You can do it like you can make like a filter system where the water slowly percolates through, kind of like a coffee filter. Or
Okay.
you can just put it all in one vessel and keep changing the water.
Okay.
But basically, the idea is that you have to flush water through it somehow
Okay.
until the water comes out clean, where the water's not carrying the tannins. Then the acorn meal will be it'll be sweet. It won't be bitter. Yeah. It's,
Okay. Pretty cool.
yeah, it's good food.
Sorry. I'm
But
curious.
yeah, I mean, but that could be something we could do. We could gather up a bunch of acorns and make some acorn meal and
Yeah, make some ash cakes.
yeah.
We're
This
gonna
would
ash
be the
cakes?
year where there was
Ash
bumper-
cakes, yeah.
bumper
Have you had
crops,
them before?
so-
Right.
What's that?
Have you ever had them before?
No.
It's like
ash cakes, yeah, baked on the. Actually, I have, yeah, but
Yeah.
not made out of acorns.
Yeah,
So
it's
call
what
it
made out of what?
cooking.
I think I had it.
Brown flour.
I
something
bought
like
some
that.
acorn flour from like the health food store before.
What'd you make out of it?
Pancakes,
How was it?
good.
I bet it was delicious.
It's good.
Better than that white flour.
Bleached flour. Yeah, we made ash cakes. In the primitive school thing in school, man. We like picked a raspberry patch and a blackberry patch and mulberries and threw them all in there. Threw some brown sugar in there. It was just all you do is you just take some brown flour, put some water together, and create like a cake out of it. Throw some fruit in there, roll it over, and just toss it in the fire. Let it go. Flip it once in a while, and then you pull it out.
Ash
and
cake.
Brush the cakes. Yeah, I know.
Brush the
It's like,
ash.
what's up, ash cakes?
It's really good though.
Yeah, it's in a pinch, it's a problem situation. That's like a freaking delicacy,
Now here's one thought I had. I keep mentioning pokeweed because it's poisonous. The full-grown plant's poisonous, but people do eat the baby plant. But the thing about the plant is it's one of many plants that you can find that when you squeeze them, a bunch of juice comes out. Right? So I was thinking about the filtration systems in some of these water bottles, like a Brita water bottle or something. If the water would be good if we passed it through one of
It's, not a bad idea to
those. I have no
consider.
idea if it would be, but.
Just the idea that there could be some kind of natural thing out there that could serve as a filter like that, you might be onto something there.
And it's not like it's a neurotoxin or anything. It'll just make you throw up.
Oh, that's all.
If you put it in solar, if you put it
As long
in
as it's
solar
not
still or
paralyzing
something,
me, I
it
can
will.
deal with the shit
Right, it
growing
might.
up.
Yeah, something to look into. I would stop. I don't know. You could depend it.
But
It's like something with that survival show I was watching.
Which one?
It was like an immediate survival. I don't know. It
Depends
was
how
like
maybe
some
how
scenario
volatile
thing, like a what if.
Mhm.
And this family's running around through this urban area, and the guy ends up draining a radiator, and then filtering the fluid out of a radiator through a shirt, and then like saying that would be okay to do.
What?
Yeah? Because a shirt is sufficient to filter out chemicals?
I have no idea.
In a pinch.
He like drank antifreeze.
It wasn't antifreeze.
It must have been one of those things where they were in a nuclear fallout scenario.
Something like
They were
that.
already losing their teeth and hair, so
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It was like one of those what if
In that
survival
case,
things, and that was one of those
it's
things.
your water
was,
bottle.
well, the guy drained a radiator into like a bowl, and then he poured the water through a shirt, and he was drinking it, he and his family.
Like radiator fluid?
Yeah.
Wow. Because I always thought it was poisonous.
Well,
Yeah.
if it has antifreeze in it, yeah, and even
Yeah.
if it was just straight water, there's still got to be like metal leaching and things like that going on, rust.
Yeah,
all
it's
kinds of
about,
junk.
like, yeah, heavy metals.
that wouldn't be the first place I look for.
Oh, wouldn't be me either.
Might not be
Rainwater,
on the
man,
list.
rainwater.
Right.
Rainwater can come out of the sky, isn't it? If you capture it right there, and then you can drink it.
Another good reason for plastic.
Do you know anything about
Plastic cup.
like plants that are natural filters that leach out like those heavy metals and things like that? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, see, unfortunately, like, no, I don't know, like, in specific plants, but I do know, I kind of was interested in it for a while, like bioremediation, they call it. Like,
Right.
They use plants to clean up, like, water and stuff like that.
Use
But then,
alfalfa for that,
it ends up in the plant, though,
Well, then you take the plant and burn it, but
Yeah.
it makes that soil viable. Then you can use it for.
Yeah.
Pretty sure
It
they
cleans
use
soil,
alfalfa.
cleans water, but yeah, you
Is
would
it
want to eat
alfalfa?
the plants.
They might use a number of different things, because they probably have to amend it too, or add some nutrients back in and things like that.
Right.
But
So, but I
there are
don't know what it
specific
is.
Plants out there that that's what they do.
They suck
pull-
the crap out of the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there's
It's restoring
funguses.
like brown land or brown fill. What's it called?
Brown land? Like, brown space, you're talking like lands that are slightly contaminated.
Right. It pulls these contaminants out
Oh,
and restores them.
yeah, I don't know a lot about that, but
There's
I've heard
specific
about
plants that are known to do that.
Yeah, but I don't know what the plants are.
That would be a good one to look into. Especially with World War III around the corner.
We should
Fix
go-
the
we should
soil.
go to the
Brownfield.
building
It's
for-
called brownfield.
Brownfield,
I was like, what the hell's the
yeah.
word?
It is brown, yeah. Mushrooms too are really good at that.
Yeah.
They actually break it down to where it's broken down into like a harmless.
Yeah,
Who in this room has any emergency medical experience?
I have an expired first aid, Red Cross first aid CPR, and I was-
Expired, but you still have the knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
None? We already went over this last week.
And that's one thing I was
We used to
thinking, is
hang out
that
with a
it
lot
might
of
be a cool idea just for everybody
Yeah.
to take a
First aid.
Occupy Red Cross course.
You know, I know some DMTs. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Alright, I gotta go back over to work.
Hey, work here. Come to visit.
I work here, yeah, in the Burbank Library.
He's one of our connections.
Not to be a
The
dick, but
KPL
future
bomb
reference,
shelter.
no drinks in here.
Oh. Sorry about that.
That's cool.
That's what I said, I don't know.
That's the whole reason I came, right? Usually there's a sign in here.
I would have
Yeah,
used that
like
excuse when I was out there, been
about-
like, ladies, I gotta go tell him about it. So did he take care of Scott? Yeah. It's
We had a
gone.
lane
Hey, guys, it
discussion.
was good seeing y'all.
Take care,
Good seeing
man.
Yeah,
you.
good news, Steve.
We'll be back in touch.
I can't believe it took you 40 minutes to do that.
Must have been really obstinate. Yeah, that guy's hard-headed. Just debated about coffee.
That's what I was telling Devin about you.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, then there's this rich guy. If anybody hasn't put their name or info down, I think you're the only one. Put whatever info you have to be able to get a hold of you. Email and number.
Now, are you doing this once a week?
Yeah. Every Tuesday.
All right.
I say feel free to come up with topics. So maybe we.
Well, I'll work.
'Cause I'd like to be able to promote it with a topic.
All right.
On Facebook.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is let's not release it just yet that we're doing this, and we'll just get. I mean, we got to start with one or the other. What we're gonna put together: the survival or the gardening.
I
And
say.
we might be able to incorporate them together. Like if we're gonna be out there doing the survival anyway, then we can get our stuff started. We can like all get it
One
planned.
big survival weekend kind of.
Well, we get it all planned at the same time where we plan and we do a survival course, and then the germination and all that.
Well, I mean, just as far as like our weekly meetings, do we want to bring specific topics to?
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Like, if you guys want to spearhead a meeting and say, well, I want to talk specifically about this.
Okay.
That's why I was trying to create those 3 categories so that we could focus primarily on that. Like, maybe you want to come to the table with, shelter ideas.
Okay. And one thing I was
You wanna
actually
come to the
thinking
table
about
with things that we can talk about as far as primitive survival, where we don't have to do on-hands training right away. Maybe it's knot tying or fuck, I don't know, shit like
what
that.
about drills? Like bug out drills. That's
Yeah.
one thing. Even if it's just like a phone network, everybody has a phone network.
That's why I
And then,
wanna
and
try
then
to
they're
get
at work
emails.
one day and they receive a call. This is the drill. Call your people. Make sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's accessible in that.
Mhm.
So, how many people have expressed interest in this? Yeah.
We had 10 people RSVP just to this one, but only
5 showed up.
5
4
showed.
5 showed up.
We're looking at about a 50% show ratio.
Okay.
I think more I think if we keep doing it and I start putting stuff out there like this video and, the minutes for our meetings and stuff like that so people can see what we're talking about, I think that'll bring more people into the meeting. I'm not too excited about just bringing in a bunch of randoms that are just going to kind of be dead weight. I'd be
Filler,
more
fodder.
Right. I'd be
Kinda
more
what happens
interested
Occupy there,
if you're watching
but-
this video, if you actually have skills to bring to the table, resources, and you're buying into the idea that there's a point that we may have to worry about survival, then you should be a part of this kind of